everybody and welcome back. So today I'm in a really good mood because I just got a job. So I'm going to be working as a theatre producer at a company that I'm very passionate about and excited to work with. So as you can imagine, I'm in a very good mood right now. In honor of that, I decided to do a happy video and talk about some of my favorite books that I've read this year. Just some books that have really inspired me and maybe give you some recommendations. I've purposely picked books that haven't been very hyped because I want to give them a bit of publicity. These are all books that have really spoken to me and I'm excited about them. So let's get into it. The first book I want to talk about is Pieces of Me by Natalie Hart. Now this book is an absolute gem. I read it early this year, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I was blown away. It's character driven, it's got a really interesting story. I'll give you a quick synopsis. So Emma moved to Iraq where she was working and she met Adam. So Adam and Emma fell in love, they get married and they move to America. And the story sort of follows Emma in America after her husband is redeployed back to Iraq. She really loved Iraq, so it's difficult for her to sort of imagine him being there without her, and then for her to sort of navigate this new world without him, and she's trying to figure out who she is and how she fits into this new country. She's trying to make friendships and she's trying to decide what to do next and how to give her life meaning. It's a beautiful book. It's so well written and we learn about her life when she was in Iraq and what that was like, and it was just very empowering to read. I flew through it in a day, and if it sounds like something that you're interested in, I completely recommend it, so check it out, give it some love. Another book I fell in love with is called The Spitfire Girls by Soroya M. Lane. So this book I came across completely by accident. I was browsing on NetGalley and then it popped up. I requested it, I got it, I read it in a couple of days tops. It's a historical fiction novel. It's told from 3 different points of view of 3 different female pilots in World War I. Now this wasn't subject matter that I was necessarily familiar with, but after I read it, I suddenly got very into learning about female pilots in World War I. But there were a lot of challenges back then, such as women couldn't fly planes in the war, so instead they were asked to ferry planes around the UK, which sucks because like they were perfectly capable. Anyway, so they're ferrying these planes around the UK. They don't necessarily have the right navigational equipment. There's a lot of disrespect towards them. There's a lack of equal pay. So they have all of these problems that they're dealing with. There's a bit of tragedy, a bit of romance. It's sweet, it's sad, and it's really well paced. It's a very good story, and if that sounds like something you're interested in, if you like historical fiction, I'd probably recommend it. I feel like it was a very strong feminist narrative, and I love a good, strong feminist narrative. If you know me, you'll know that. The next book I'd like to talk about is Strangers Assume My Girlfriend Is My Nurse by Shane Burkor. So this is a memoir written by Shane, who is a young man. He's living with spinal muscular atrophy, and he is very funny. I loved this memoir so much. I flew through it. It's told in the form of essays, and Shane shares anecdotes with us about his life living with this disability and the challenges he faced growing up. He reflects in some of his essays on how people with disabilities are treated. It's accessible. I read it the day it came out. I highly recommend it because the humor is wonderful, but there are also definitely some more poignant and thought-provoking moments in there. He's currently in an interabled relationship with this girl named Hannah. They have a YouTube channel called Squirmy and Grubs. I'm gonna link that down below because they make fabulous content. I love their channel. I watch it all the time. So if you're interested in hearing more from Shane, I definitely recommend it. If you love memoirs, give Shane's a try. The next book I'm going to talk about is Navigating the Stars by Maria V. Snyder. So if you've read Poison Study, you're probably familiar with Maria's work. She writes a lot of fantasy, but this is a sci-fi novel. I've read nearly everything she's written at this point. I'm a massive fan, and this book is no exception. I thought it was really well done. It had excellent world building. The character, Lyra, was wonderful to learn about. It's very difficult to explain the synopsis of this book. Basically, it's set in the future, in space. There's this girl, Lyra, her parents are archaeologists, and they're investigating this mystery of the terracotta soldiers. Because you know the terracotta army in China, it's as if they've started finding these on all these other planets. They don't know who made them. Was it aliens? Was it humans? It must have been aliens. And there's all these other mysteries that all sort of tie together. It's great. Check it out if you love a good sci-fi novel. I give it 5 stars. It was really good. The last book I'm going to talk about is Into Captivity, They Will Go by Noah Milligan. I'm actually going to do a full book talk on this book once it's published because I've read the ARC through NetGalley. This isn't a light, happy story, but it is thought-provoking, and in my case, it made me do a lot of background research on cults. This story is about a boy called Caleb whose mother convinces him that he is the second coming of Christ. She kidnaps him, she isolates him from his family, and she takes him to a community in Oklahoma where everybody sort of believes that he's the second coming of Christ. And messed up things happen, bad things happen, there's drama. I don't want to spoil anything. The last part of the book is sort of set forward in the future, and it sort of deals with the aftermath of what Caleb went through when he was a child. I personally have found this very interesting to sort of think about. I found myself empathizing with a character that I didn't necessarily want to empathize with or plan to empathize with, and I think that it was really well done in that sense. And I won't give away any details because I don't want to spoil it for you if you're interested. But in summary, this book had quite a strong effect on me. In the last couple of chapters, I was a mess. I was bawling. I don't even know why. Like, it affected me as deeply as it did. It's not like I know anybody who was kidnapped and taken into a cult. Like, I don't. But like, it plucks your heartstrings, you know? I couldn't shut up about it for days. So even though it wasn't necessarily the most uplifting book that I've read this year, I feel like because it had such a big impact on me, I need to include it in this list. I read this book over a couple of days because I needed to give myself some breaks with it, but it was very page turny if you're really intrigued by it. I ended up doing a bunch of research on like cults afterwards. I feel like sometimes I'll just read a book and I'll be like, I need to know more about this, and then I'll just dive down a hole of cults and religious fanaticism, and that's fun. So if you like dark, twisty morals and cults and stuff like that, definitely give it a read. It's interesting. It's a good book. Okay. So those are my top 5 underrated books of this year that I've read that I think you should definitely read, or don't. Go enjoy your day. It's a good week and I'm employed, so let's go live our lives. Happy reading. I hope that everybody is having a lovely year and that you're doing way better on your Goodreads reading challenges than I am. I'm 20 books behind. I've actually been avoiding Goodreads recently because I don't want to see the stats because the numbers just keep getting worse and worse. Oh, please subscribe or like this video or comment or whatever you kids want to do. Take care everybody, and I'll see you next time.